The decline in populations of bees and other pollinators has been well documented by the science community over the past few decades. Save the Bee campaigns have been well publicized in the news and social media, but should we be concerned with this information? To answer this question, I first want to discuss why are pollinators so important. Pollinators play a critical role in global biodiversity, and their role in ecosystem maintenance, impacting agricultural productivity and wild plant species, cannot be understated. As global human population continue to rise, with estimated numbers rising to 11.7 billion by the year 2100, food demand will continue to grow. This, combined with the share of agricultural crops dependent on bees for pollination, is expected to exceed 300%. Maybe even more provocative is that 3/4 of the major crop types used directly for human food are benefited by pollinators, with bees having the biggest impact. So can bees keep up with this demand? Many scientists believe that the demand on bees to provide pollination services of agricultural crops has surpassed the capacity, making these trends unsustainable. It is for this reason that we need to be concerned with the decline of bee populations and the phenomenon of colony collapse disorder, which scientists have been using to describe the loss of worker bees from the hive, ultimately causing the function of the hive to collapse. Scientists have had difficulty in determining a single reason for bee population decline, but the majority of evidence points to a number of interacting causes that all add up to one big problem for bees. Alien species, pathogens, and pesticide use are all believed to have created a weakened bee that, when combined, has become a lethal combination for bee populations. These factors, added to changes in land use, have resulted in depletion and fractioning of habitats, making life even tougher on an already weakened species. Alien species include the varroa mite, which has devastated honeybee populations in most countries around the world, including here in Canada. The varroa mite originated from Asia. Its spread was facilitated through human transport of both infected and non-infected bees. The varroa mite is a parasite that attaches to adult bees and feeds off the components of the bee's blood. The remarkable thing about this mite is its size relative to the honeybee. It would be like walking around with a basketball-sized tick feeding off of you. The varroa mite not only weakens bees through its parasitic relationship, but it actually spreads a number of pathogens as well. One well-documented pathogen that moves through bee populations via the varroa mite is a virus called the deformed wing virus, which, as the name suggests, prevents baby bees, called broods, from having properly formed wings. The use of neonicotinoid pesticides and the impact on bees is a hotly debated topic among crop farmers, beekeepers, and everyone in between. Most studies suggest that the use of neonicotinoids has a negative impact on both honeybee and wild bee populations, whether it be the result of disorientation of the bee's natural homing abilities or reproduction challenges. However, the data collected from studies on the use of these pesticide types is not always consistent, suggesting other contributing factors. One of these factors that can be added to all of those already discussed is the vast habitat loss and divided habitat occurring as a result of changing land use. Crop farming practices continue to change, focusing on crop monocultures, including corn and soybeans, which don't produce the flowers the bees need for food. Urbanization has replaced areas of natural vegetation, including flowers that bees need for nutrition, with roads, houses, businesses, and recreational sports areas such as golf courses. This has created what is commonly referred to as a food desert for bees, making finding nutrition for an already weakened species even more challenging. As a member of an urban community, what can you do to help the bees that are so important to the world's food sources? No, you can't cure the varroa mite or bee pathogens. You may not be able to single-handedly stop the use of neonicotinoids or reverse what has become food deserts for the bees, but what you can do is perform individual actions that, if acted on by many, will help save the bees. Number 1. Vote with your fork. This is a common phrase used by bee advocate Bee Girl, which translates into supporting local sustainable farms that have bee health in mind. And number 2. Plant bee-friendly flowers and vegetable gardens in your backyard, front yard, or even place potted flowers on your balcony. Help bridge the distance that the urban community you are living in may have created between bees and their food source. It may not seem like much, but if you, me, and all of our neighbors take these steps, we could help save our community bees.